Hey, what's up, Land Investing Nation? Joe McCall here. Wouldn't it be nice if you could say, all right, looking at this entire country, I want to go into the best markets where most of the land deals are being flipped, right? And then, all right, I've picked some markets. I now want to get a really good list of properties that aren't landlocked. They're not in wetlands. They have road frontage. They aren't too sloped. They're not at least 50% of it is actually buildable. And what else? Let's say, all right, I want MLS data, right? I want to go in and pull a list of properties that haven't sold or haven't sold recently, right? Or I want now to, when I'm looking at a lot, I want to be able to turn a couple switches and see whether it's in a floodplain or not. I want to see all of the research on that property. I want to see the slope analysis, the wetlands analysis, the road frontage. I want to see who bought the property and when, and I want to see comps, all of this stuff. And I'm so excited to have Ron Apke on here from the Land Portal. By the way, real quick, getlandportal.com right now. Go there, getlandportal.com. This tool is a game changer. I've been using it every single day. I put it when I'm doing coaching calls. I'm always pulling up the Land Portal. I don't know if you knew this, Ron. Every morning with my high-end coaching clients, I do daily comping calls for just 20, 30 minutes. We get on Zoom and we look at deals. Guess what I have open every day? Get the Land Portal. And getlandportal.com, you guys have made some amazing improvements lately. It's my favorite source for land data right now. And it's incredible. Now, I still use FreedomSoft. I get lists from FreedomSoft. But when it comes to research, and if I want a real specialty list, like a real narrow list that I'm going to maybe skip trace and cold call, I'm getting that from the Land Portal. And so anyways, guys, I wanted to get Ron on and talk about it because you guys have been making some new updates lately. And I wanted, Ron, if you could share your screen and talk about what's going on in the Land Portal. This thing has kind of taken the land investing world by storm. It's really exciting to see. And you guys have been making some amazing changes, kind of leaving all of your competitors in the dust. And so welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Joe. Appreciate that introduction. I'm excited to show your community, show your following what this is all about, how it can help them in their business.
And you're an active land investor yourself, right? You've been doing land for a long time.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a while. We've been doing a lot bigger deals over the last 12, 18 months. But yeah, we've been doing it a while. We're still doing big deals, a lot of big deals. But yeah, exciting stuff right now.
Okay. So you kind of built this out of a need that you saw in this industry that wasn't there. And you thought, wouldn't it be nice if we had this for our business? And you just kind of went out and built it.
Yeah, land data, when it was frustrating, land data just has not been good historically from a lot of the big data providers, everything like that. And there's a niche. I think there is a market to be filled, and it makes me so much less frustrated. And you talked about all those filters. The reason we built it is so we can target good land, Joe. That's the main thing. How do land investors target 98% of their land is good land using these filters?
Yeah. All right. So I just want to jump right in and share what you've got. But again, guys, go to the getlandportal.com. You might need to do a www. or something, but getlandportal.com to check it out. I do make a small affiliate commissions, but I would be recommending this anyway, because wait till you see what this tool does. It's amazing. So there's a lot that goes on, Ron. Will you show us kind of maybe market analysis first, right? We want to pick a good market, or we know what state we want to go into. How do we figure out the counties or that kind of info,
And when we made this, so this came out probably a month ago, maybe a little less. Our idea was okay, I'm not telling people how to choose a market, but I'm giving them the data. I want to give them as much data so they can make good decisions. Some people like going after hot markets. Some people like going after slow markets and everything in between. So here we have the heat map, Joe. And essentially what we can do on the heat map, this is the entire country, obviously. But what you can do, you can filter up here. So if you wanted to filter by state, not a lot of people are doing that. So we'll stay away from that. If you want to filter by for sale or sold, and this is all this data up here is what is creating our colors. So we have these colors based on whatever is up here. So right now we're doing based on inventory count. Let's say we don't care about that. Let's say we want to choose a market based on days on market. All of this is going to switch as we go through here. You'll see colors change, everything like that. All right, maybe we don't care about the last 12 months. Let's look at what's going on the last I'm sorry, the last 24 months. Let's do the last 12 months, the last year, what's going on. You see colors change. And then the coolest thing, one of the coolest things about this, you can actually go in the acreage ranges for everything. Like, let's say I just want to know the days on market for 5 to 10 acres. And you can do this when you actually get deals as well on the back end. Like, okay, how long is it going to take me to sell 5 acres in these different counties? But you can go through here. We can see what's going on. I'm going to switch back to all.
Let me just clarify too, real quick. Green is good. Red is
green is
poor.
lower. So, I mean, some people don't want to be in green. Like that's what some people might not want to go in green. It's going to be faster, shorter. So we look at green on these hovers, 26 days on market average, 38. Then we go a little lighter green, 76, yellow, 96. And yes, green is going to be lower days on market.
Which is good. And sometimes you want solds to be high. And so one thing might be low, one thing might be high, but the green means good, excellent, right?
Yep.
Cool.
And that's where you have these other things, like you're talking about things selling through, absorption rate, which is basically how fast things are selling. You want to see the supply, the months of supply, everything like that. Like, this is how fast things are selling. Okay, so we have a sell-through rate, and that's basically the percentage of things that are selling over the last 12 months with that data point. So things are selling fast when you have 80%, 90%. Some of these are over 100% that are selling through. But it's essentially our sell-through rate over the last 12 months. I a lot of times like going like, okay, how fast are things selling in 3 months, everything like that. And you'll see the data change, obviously, with the sell-through rate. When it's 3 months, it's going to be a lot lower. But what I want to do here, Joe, any questions on this page, Joe, on the heat map page, you can do it with any statistic, median price per acre. So if you want the more expensive counties, median price per acre for the last 3 months, red on this situation, it's going to actually be lower, cheaper areas, where green is going to be these higher acres. And you can see the median price per acre in these different spots.
So PPA is price per acre.
Correct.
Maybe while you're looking here, somebody's just getting started and they want to, let's just choose Tennessee, for example,
Let's
right?
do it.
And they want to know where would I start to look for some good counties where I can buy cheap land and flip it, sell it quickly and just wholesale it, you know?
I think you have a couple data points that are important. I think the first one is going to be days on market. This is what I like to look for. And for me personally, I'm always looking for something sub 100, but also not like less than 30. So somewhere between like 40 to 100, 35 to 100. And the reason being, like, we don't want too hot of counties. It becomes really hard to purchase. So somewhere in that median. So I'm looking for these counties. I don't know, 50 to 100 is a really good spot. And you have a lot of these light green ones. So I'm going to be looking for like clusters on here, Joe. Like, let's say we chose this area up here in it looks like north central Tennessee. I think this is DeKalb is Nashville. So this is going to be kind of hot areas. And then I'm going to look at median price per acre as well. Because you talked about like, we don't want too cheap. We probably don't want too expensive. We want somewhere again in that medium range. And then I'm going to go to all acreages and I'm going to go to 5 to 10 actually. And what I'm looking for, like, I like to do deals where things are 5 to 10 acres are selling for $10,000 to $12,000 an acre. I think it's a good spot. And you see these areas right north of Nashville that are quite a bit more expensive. We have $30,000 price per acre. So then I'm going to start looking at different areas, but I want like $10,000 to $12,000 price per acre for 5 to 10 acres. And, also those days on market, really like 40 to 100, somewhere in there, which is a wide range. There's a lot of examples in this situation.
So then you're looking, this is visual. Can you also look at it in a table or something that you can like sort and play with?
So we'll actually go to table view. And one of the cool things, because I actually want to go to some of these counties that we might not have thought worked out. So here we have a table view. Same thing. We're Wilson, Tennessee. We can change this. However, by the time people are watching on here, Joe, we might have it where we can have multiple tables and comparing. We're adding that currently right now. But let's go back to our price per acre. All right. So now what we're going to get here is these price per acres. And if we just did 5 to 10 acres, let's just say over the last 12 months, we saw this really high number. Like, okay, that's not $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 per acre for 5 to 10. But what you can actually do is click in. And what I like to do when I click into these, I look for outliers. So we see a 268, we see a 203, we see our median right down here. But what we want to do, or what I can do, is just take away these outliers. So you're just hiding these outliers, and you can see our numbers down here drop. So these 203s, these numbers that are just like, they're not in the ballpark of everything else. This is still probably going to be a too expensive area, but you can actually go through, customize, get rid of If you ever want to see the properties, you can just click on here. You'll see the actual information. You can click view and pull up all the information as well.
You're using this to do some market research. You like the state of Tennessee. You maybe pick 3 or 4 counties, right, Then what
Mhm.
do you do? Or
As far
by the
as
way, I don't want to lead into something and skip something, but like, do you have anything else in the market research that you want to show us?
I mean, everything on here dropped down. Like, it matters what's important to you guys. Like, one thing that I really like to do, actually, Joe, is hit parcel count. So what this is actually doing, like, okay, maybe you don't want areas with 500 data points or something like that. In this section, you can actually see the amount of vacant parcels in your county. I think this is important where you're not going to counties with too few vacant parcels. You can see in different acreage ranges, like how much this is. So I think this is very valuable. How much of the land is vacant in the county? So this county, you have quite a few bigger parcels versus our smaller parcels are a little more occupied. But this is really good data. Really, all these, you play around with it. Look for areas that are not too cheap, not too expensive. Land is selling relatively fast, and you can't go wrong in terms of that. Then I like to look at, like, what does the actual land look like? Is it mountainous? Is it farmland? But we can get into filtering that as well.
Yeah. So go ahead and show us whatever you want now in this.
All right, let's pull up. Let's just pull a county in this area, guys, real fast. So let's find something. I'm going to go a little farther out from Nashville, where we have Knox here, a little cheaper. Let's go a little cheaper here. So here we have the Monroe County, Tennessee. I'm actually familiar with this, and this is right in our area. Yeah, it's a little over 100 here, but this is only 5 to 10 acres. So let's pick Monroe County, Tennessee. What I'm going to do, we're going to pull some data. I'm going to kind of look at what's going on real fast in the market research section. So I'm just going to see how many parcels we have. So we have 7,000 vacant parcels. We might not mess with all these acreages, but we're going to go to the map search here. So now, like Joe talked about at the very beginning, we talked about it through, is like, I want to target good land. When I'm sending direct mail, Joe, that's 67 cents, or like I'm sending text messages and people are texting me back. I was talking to someone earlier and I'm like, it wasn't even like, the reason all this filtering is so great isn't even necessarily the saving money on the marketing. It's the saving time on the back end. When we first started doing this business, 70% of the calls back is just trash land. Now all you're talking to is good land, which is the best part.
And what is good land? Well, what's bad land? It's land that's wetlands. It's landlocked. The slope is too steep. You can't build anything on it. Things like that. And this is cool, Ron. Talk about this. This is so important to understand, everybody, because you can't just rely on the county classification of land, because every county classifies it as something different, right? And they may classify something as vacant, but it actually has a structure on it, a house or something like that. But now what these guys are doing at the land portal is they're using AI to analyze from satellite images. This is crazy. Whether a parcel is actually vacant or not, whether there's actually a road next to it or not. So he's going to show that here. This is my favorite part of the land portal.
Yeah. If you ever, we used to do a lot of business in Kentucky, and Kentucky's county data is atrocious. Like, we were doing counties and like 40% of our properties had structures on them that we're putting in vacant to our data source at that point. Like, this is frustrating. Like, we're spending a lot of mail. So what we do here, let's go type in Tennessee at the top, and we had Monroe County, Tennessee. Joe, what kind of acreages are you guys going after? Like, is there a certain acreage type, acreage amount that you guys are going after a lot?
Usually when I pull a list, I'm just pulling like 1 to 20 acres.
Okay.
I keep it pretty broad.
This is the AI filter right here, vacant lots. Again, there's multiple layers to this AI in terms of, like Joe said, satellite. It can recognize the difference between a barn and a house and a mobile home. Like, it knows what's going on the land. But what I'm going to do here, I always like to do this first, Joe, and this probably honestly is going to be a little smaller list, but a lot of data sources, you go 1 to 20 acres, you type in vacant lots, you type in the area, like, okay, let's hit apply. Let's see how many data points we have. And
we
then
want a smaller list, right?
100%. Yeah, we're gonna get a big list right here, and then we're gonna have to beat this list down over the next 5 or 10 minutes as this loads. And it's looking through. So what it's doing right now with the spinny thing is typically with vacant lots, because it is going through parcels, determining all that stuff. We'll give this a minute. It should pop up here in a second, though.
Yeah, because this is important to understand. When you are searching for land, you don't have a huge budget, most likely, right? Where you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on postcards or letters, right? And the way I like to do this, Ron, just so y'all know, I don't like sending blind offers. I just send letters out. I want as many people to call me as possible. And then as they call in, we analyze each deal and then talk to them on the phone and send them an offer. But so just what you're doing here with just only one filter you use, two actually, by AI, know whether it's vacant or not, and 1 to 20 acres. But there's other things that you can filter for here.
Exactly. So we have 3,500. We're going to see like how much money are you guys paying per letter right now, Joe? Or what is like an average person paying?
For a postcard, we're doing first class 70 cents a postcard, $1 for a 1-page letter.
So
90
every
cents.
100 we want to get that target list. Every 100 we get off of here, we're saving $70 on mail essentially. 70 plus dollars on mail. So let's see what we can do here. And again, I'm not getting rid of good land. That's not my goal here. I want to get rid of land that is not good, and I want to get rid of potential sellers that might not be good if they just bought the land yesterday or something like that.
Yeah,
So what I'm going to do as we start from the top, I'm just going to get rid of all of our active listings. Like, let's not go over after land on the market, and all of our MLS sold listings on
and
here.
this is cool too. Let me explain this. MLS data is you guys just added this in recently, right?
Probably last 3 months, 6 months, maybe.
Okay, yeah. And it's not easy to get. It's not easy and it's not cheap. And you guys have pulled it off, so this is good.
And then we're going to hit apply here, and we're just going to see this number go down. Every filter we're going to add, we're going to see this number go down on here. It's just looking through everything on here.
And this is interesting too. You were telling me the other day. I was asking about the MLS data, and there's sometimes it's nobody can do this because it's just not available yet. Where you match the property that's on the MLS with the actual county record, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is important. Why you're searching now? These two MLS data is like its own data set, and the land county data is its own data set. Something like that. Did I explain that right?
Yeah, for sure. No, that was perfect. So we're going to hit, okay. So that dropped us down 600, not recently sold MLS data, not active MLS data. That sounds pretty reasonable. And then we're going to look through, okay, landlocked. Let's not go after properties that are behind another property that don't have road access. It's silly. So I don't know what Tennessee is. Places like Alabama, there's just so many places in the country, Joe, that like West Coast, like how many landlocked properties are in the desert out there. There's so many areas of the country where properties are so landlocked. I think we just went down 800 there, Joe.
I know some funding companies that will not even fund a deal unless it has Google Street View on it.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is that's wild. So what we can do here, guys, like we still have more things to do, but you can always look at your map, and like I always like testing, like, okay, am I missing something? And what we start to see here, Joe, as we go through here, and we still have a few more filters to go, is this just quality land? We have road access, solid road access, and what we can even filter further is like maybe we want at least 200 feet of road frontage, something like that. You have the ability to do that on here as well, and then what that would do is get rid of like a property like this. Like you're looking at like, okay, potentially quote unquote bad properties, if you want to say that. This property's got 117 feet of road frontage. Pretty awkward. It's going to cost a lot of money for a driveway. So that's something we could get rid of if we wanted. All right, going back to map search. We won't worry about road frontage, I don't think, here. Joe talked a little about FEMA and wetlands before. And what we're going to do, we're just going to say, I don't want more than half of my property in FEMA or wetlands. I think that's a very reasonable thing. You might want to go lower if you want. But I just like to keep it simple for this. And maybe there's a reason to change that number, but we'll just keep it there for now and see what happens.
That's a bigger deal in some states like Florida. You may not see such a huge drop in this county for that. And when we also start looking at slope or buildability, it's not as a big factor in Florida as it would be in the hills.
You can see what we're going to have here. Like this is going to be, we're going to see a huge change. When we start doing buildability and start doing slope filters here, we're going to see incredible changes in our numbers. So right now, let's just look at this before I do that. So that number went down to 2070. Not a ton of properties out here, but what we're going to do is there's going to be some slope properties. You're going to see a lot of these properties disappear if they don't have a certain amount of buildable area. And what we did, Joe, like this is not just like an average slope. This is looking for clusters of buildable area at on the land based on we have every square meter in the entire country mapped. And what it's looking for is a cluster of a similar slope that it deems as buildable. It's something we don't talk about enough. I don't think there's a huge value in areas like this. Let's go. So we can either do percentage or we can do acres, the amount we want. I mean, we could say, problem is if we say 1 acre, we're going to get rid of all of our 1 acre properties. And what you can always do is build separate lists. A lot of people do that for like 1 to 5. They're going to say, I want at least half an acre. Then 5 to 20, maybe they want an acre or an acre and a half buildable. We're just going to keep it really simple though. We're just going to say 0.5 buildable, or we could do a percentage actually.
I usually do percentage, at least.
What do you like to do here?
I usually do 50%. At least 50% of the lot is buildable, which means what? Less than 10% slope?
No, that's saying, so what it's saying there is if we actually look at a property, let's pull up a decent size property, like something like this. Let's pull up the property. So I'll walk you through what this means. So if we scroll down here, buildable areas. So this is 22% buildable. And if you hit show buildability, this is when it's actually looking for like the buildable areas on the lot. So it views these 3 clusters as buildable. If you look at contour lines, overlap, something like that, you can see why. This is deeper than just contour lines, but it's looking for those clusters. But yeah, I don't mind 15%.
Yeah, you just tell me what you suggest here.
Yeah. The problem with for 15% is the 1 acre properties could only have 0.15, like that acres of buildable area, which isn't going to work for a house. But I think this will be fine, honestly. A lot of the properties we're going to get rid of are that eastern side of the county.
Maybe you thought I said 15%. I meant 50. At least half of the property is
okay. Buildable. Okay. I can change that here in a second.
As you're going through this too, you guys got to remember when you're looking at land, I do this all the time.
15 got rid of 900, Joe.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, sometimes when you're looking at a 3D image of the property on Google Maps or Google Earth or something like that, it looks like a nice property when you're looking straight down on it, but all of a sudden you realize it's in a huge valley. There's a dry riverbed that goes through it or something like that. And so sometimes a property you think looks great all of a sudden becomes almost worthless when you start looking at the slope and what's going on with it. And so this allows you to avoid all of those crazy sloped properties.
And I think our original number was 3,500 records. After these filters, we're down to 1,200. And guys, I promise you this, you saw a lot of these disappear over here in terms like we talked about and like we expected. Then you go into some of these that aren't disappeared over here. Like, okay, this looks like a plains type of thing. Like this is not, I don't think it's going to be sloped. I could pull up the report there, but like a lot of these they're good land that are in the mountains, which is really cool when you can get properties like that. Like a lot of people would pay for that. That's essentially what that did. It got rid of another 800. It looks like those are the main filters that we use on a regular basis. So you can go deeper into it for sure in terms of like maybe you wanted our estimate price or something like that.
Well, talk about that. What is the TLP?
Yeah. So what TLP estimate is, it is essentially, and I'll pull up a comp report, essentially what it is doing. And this isn't every property card. If I pull up, let's pull up a property card real fast. So we'll search one. Let's go a little bigger property. See, it sees how that's a satellite that I'm talking about. It sees this as trash. It doesn't see this as a house because it's not a house. It might be someone from right here. It looks like probably throwing some trash over there, but it knows the difference between that being trash and not. But we have the TLP estimate down here. This is in every single property card. It's on every single export. You can also pull a comp report, which I'll show you here in a second, which is going to give you a lot more data. And a lot of people who are like with neutral letters, and you have people coming back, you can gauge the price or what they're asking for very fast without actually like looking it up and comping through everything. You'll get these comp reports as well for each property you can pull. And essentially it's going to give you what its estimated is, what's the price per acre estimated. That's going to tell you the comps that it is weighing. The top, this is a different county that I was doing earlier, the top being the most heavily weighted based on the size, distance from the property, and last sale date essentially. And that's the most weighted property on the comp report. It's not just an average. It's a lot more than that in terms of that. It's constantly kind of improving itself. But now we have this list of 1,200, Joe. Do you want me to export? What else do you want to see on here?
Well, there's a few more filters that I like.
Okay. Yeah. Walk me through what you like and like about it.
I like out of county owners.
Let's do it.
So that means they don't live in the county.
Out of county. Anything else before I hit apply?
Last sale date, maybe 5 years ago. So they've owned it for at least 5 years.
I think that's right here, right? That's where we put it. Include unknown. Yep.
And you can also do that. Talk about that property slope. It's similar to what you're doing with buildability, but you could say no more than 50% of the property has slope over or under a certain amount.
Right? Yeah. Right here, you can do like, okay, yeah, if you want, like Joe said, 50% of the property is under 15% slope. This is not based on the buildability. This is based on the average, the slope as you go up or down or whatever. So this saying at least 50% of the property is under 15. Very good filter. We can definitely add that theoretically.
So I don't. Do you like that better than the buildability total percentage?
No, this we released this first, and then we already had the slope reports. Like, why don't we just put the slope reports into the data? This buildability is like it's very powerful, especially when you're going after smaller properties too.
Okay, cool. So we've got landlocked, no road frontage. Don't care about that right now. Scroll down some more.
Yep.
Owner's property count. This is interesting. Do you ever use that? You could say, I don't want to target professional landowners that own 100 properties or something.
Yeah, like you could do 1-to-1. I want to test that, make sure that works. So we could do 0. Let's do 0-to-1 just to make sure that works. Which is 0. They own this one, so it shouldn't be a factor. This is going to take quite a few off, I believe.
Do 5. Let's say
0-to-5. Let's do that. That's
yes,
a good point.
Because they usually own their own house and something else.
That's a good point.
And that's about all I use. If you scroll down some more a little bit, corporate owned, I usually don't care about that.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, if you were going to skip trace, you might say no corporate owns, and then you can skip trace those. Yeah, that's good.
Then you can always type in words down here. I don't know if you've ever used this, Joe. You can. No. This is searching all the owner names, essentially. What do you see a lot on owner names? You see cemeteries own properties, governments own properties. So if you wanted to type in like the state you're working on in. So if I want to, what state? We're in Tennessee. I guarantee this would take off some if I do this. Yeah. If you do church, cemetery, I don't spell this word right a lot, so check that. And then this is searching the owner name of all these essentially.
Yeah. So go ahead and apply that now and see
what we got. I think something wrong. I'm gonna remove this. We were doing some updating on the owner property count.
Okay. Yeah, so I've done this too, where I go to one different other source and I have 2,000 records, and I'll come here and I get it down to 500. So this is really good for somebody who's got a limited budget. Yeah. Sometimes for me, I just want to, because I send a lot of mail, and I don't mind doing landlocked properties and whatever, but like I have a bigger budget, so I can spend more money on mail. I'm sending as much mail as I can. But if you have a limited budget, this is so critical and important, because even if you're just using the landlocked filter and that's it, maybe just the landlocked and floodplain wetlands, that's going to give you a tremendous focus, narrow your focus down so you can spend a lot less money on direct mail and get much better quality leads, right?
I don't know if
you ever do this is spinning here. Do you ever do improvement value or?
Not usually, because it really doesn't have any improvement value if we're doing vacant. I mean, you could do something like, okay, maybe you do want something with a barn or with water or stuff like that. Like you could do some improvement value over 0, which I've seen people do where it has small improvements, driveway cleared land, stuff like that. But that's not something I typically do.
Okay. All right. So we got 305 now. That's pretty incredible.
This is going to be a very, very targeted list, Joe. Like this is, where do deals come from? We're talking about out of county. We're talking about we're talking about now, like with out of county, a more motivated seller. Like some of these things are more motivated seller. We're removing MLS stuff. Obviously, we're getting a more motivated seller because they didn't just buy the property. Last sale date 6 years ago. Like we're getting a lot more. These are seller motivated and also the best possible land.
And so, like again, you might. There are certain pieces of mail, like a handwritten envelope and handwritten yellow letters, that cost more. They might cost $2 to send one of those out. Well, what if you saved the more expensive marketing direct mails, like the ballpoint pens with the handwritten envelopes and the real stamps, and send this list of 300, that fancy piece of mail, right? And send the bigger lists, the cheaper postcards or just generic letters. This is good. Okay.
You want me to show you the export on this?
Yeah, let's look at the export, and then I want you to show us, like, when you're looking at a specific property, talk about the research that you do inside of here. And I want to know, you've got these new AI reports, and you've got these really cool things that the research you can get on these is pretty cool. And then I want to see also the mapping functionality of it.
Okay, let's do it. We removed duplicates, and that actually brought it down to 263. So let's just place that. And like the amount of money, we dropped our list, Joe, from 3,500, and that's going to be other data sources you can get rid of out of county. You can get rid of the last sale date, stuff like that. But we got rid of like 2,000, I think, just from like the land filters.
So this, in other words, what you're saying is this pays for itself.
It should. Yeah. If you're, and then you're going to get more deals. You're going to be less fresh, especially if your time is limited, because so many people have limited time. You're going to all you're going to be focusing on is good land, good sellers, stuff like that, opposed to other things. All right. Let me
so this is the list that it exported. By the way, if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, my apologies, because all we're talking about is what we're seeing on the screen here. But again, if you're listening to this on the audio, just go to the YouTube and do a search for Joe McCall Land Portal, and you'll find this video there. Okay, what are we seeing here?
All right, so left to right, just very simple like land stuff. We try to put the most important stuff that people care the most about: APN, lot acres, owner names, all that stuff. So if you're putting together a mail list, something like that, really easy. Full address. We'll get into the stuff that you don't see other places. So one thing that I love, Joe, is the hyperlink section. So many people upload this to their CRM, and this is something that is clickable. So if we go here and we go to an incognito window, I'm obviously not logged in. I'm on an incognito window. This is open. Like you can open this property, any single property, without being logged into Land Portal. So you can send this to people in the CRM. Nice. If I am logged in, it's going to take me right to the property with all the filters.
Oh, that's cool, because now you don't have to go search for it, which is always a pain in the butt.
It's click. I mean, depending on what CRM, I know you guys use FreedomSoft. Depending on what CRM you use, in terms of just like it's in there, you get a callback, you click it, you review it, you pull up the Land Portal estimate, everything like that. And then we have the road frontage on here. If people are doing subdivides, if people are doing higher level type deals, this is definitely valuable. You can see what's in here, the amount of wetlands, the amount of flood coverage on here as well. All these numbers are going to be based on our filters, essentially under 50%, I think, for those. We see our slope stuff. And then as we scroll more towards the end, you're going to see, I mean, this is all house stuff. You're not going to see stuff really.
You had GPS coordinates in there, which I love. You couldn't.
A lot of people don't, yeah. And the thing you'll notice here, I think it's right here. The thing you'll notice is we're not going to have a single empty column. Our GPS coordinates, because there's so many empty ones for land a lot of times, like you're not going to see an empty column in here. I just scrolled to the bottom and it clicked through anything that was empty, and nothing's empty in here. That's
a big deal right there. Because sometimes it's too hard to search by APN number. And a lot of these vacant lots don't have addresses. So you have to search by GPS, and you've given it to us there.
Yep. And you can pull up from Land Portal, you can pull up a KML instantly from any property. But as we scroll over, and tell me if anything you see that you want me to stop at, all the assessed value, all this stuff, taxes, very normal stuff you'll see there, a lot of building stuff here. Then we're going to scroll to the end, and we put it at the end. I'm not sure exactly why we put it at the end, but the Land Portal estimate you're going to see at the end. This is on every single export. Again, if you're putting this in your CRM by the hyperlink, like you're going to have this data at your hands, and you're going to see like this. Let me just pull this over real fast. I'm going to actually insert this right here. And you're going to see as we go, I'm going to filter data and I'm going to sort, and we're going to go lot acreage. Lot acres here. You're going to see the variance here, Joe, as like, okay, like 1 acre. It's crazy as you go through the county. And this shows the Land Portal estimates like value. Like this is based on location. This is based on the physical aspects of land, like how much different the same acreage is in all of these, which is cool to see for sure. But that's essentially the export. Pretty normal. And then you have all the added filter stuff on here as well.
You can also skip trace and export names, phone numbers, all of that too, right?
We could have done that at the same time. So it would have actually combined the list. Let me see if I still have it open. I'll show right here. So export. And if you want to skip trace and combine the list, you'll just skip trace right here. That's how you do that.
And the cool thing too is you remove duplicates, which is going to save you some money.
Yep, that price is $263.
You don't want to send one letter you don't want to send 20 letters to one seller who owns 20 lots. That's why we remove the duplicates too.
Exactly.
So you can skip trace it if you're going to cold call that list.
Or if you're, whatever your strategy is, I think it's not bad to have phone numbers for sure. Some people pick up the phone and call in between, but that's essentially the export. A lot of good data on here. Anything else you want to see on the export though, Joe?
No, I'm good. Maybe we can look at the mapping functionality now, right? When we're looking at a specific property, what kind of research do you do?
Yeah, let's just pull up again, these links are all
let's
shared.
search for a property. Let's search for a property. You got an APN number or GPS coordinates or something.
All right, we'll do APN for here. Let's just pull up a property here. So let's say we got a call back from the seller. I'm just going to copy this APN. We're going to search it at the top. We're going to go APN, Tennessee, Monroe. And we are going to search here. Should pull up our APM right here. You see APN, you see the owner. Really good property, actually, we got here, Joe. All right, so let's review this deal. Let's see what's going on here as far as everything. We'll pull up all the data. We'll review this like we just got a deal in this seller just called us here a minute ago. They're very interested in selling. We're going to pull all of our data we have possible. We're going to review the property. So the first thing I always like to do before I look at any filters, I used to use filters, and filters were always on mine. I like to look at the data first, honestly, Joe. Like I scroll down at the data and I'm going to look at this number, like buildable acres, 5.45. That's really good for a 6-acre property.
Yep.
Keep scrolling down and we have, this actually has a last sale price or last sale date, 220,000. Maybe this is combined with something else in 1998, which doesn't really matter for us.
Well, it's 22 grand. That sounds about right.
Yep. 20, oh, I thought that was 220. I thought that, yeah. So that was 1998. This sold for $22,000. So maybe that shows some motivation there for sure. Wetlands and floodplain are in here somewhere. Where is that? It's going to be low. Here it is. Yeah. So right, it's 0 and 0. Yeah. So all that data is in there.
That's the first thing I look at whenever I pull up a property in Land Portals. I'm going to go straight to the floodplain. I want to know what the floodplain is. I want to know what the slope buildability is. And then what next thing we'll do is we'll turn on here on the map, the owner's names. I like to see that, the contour lines, the floodplain. Yeah. And you get to see kind of where the slope is coming from, where it's going.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is showing up as 5.45 buildable. Let's click what it actually is showing. So it's not deeming that. And that's why your contour lines historically, I've seen that so many times where they just are not accurate. This is a way flatter property than what it shows. We can click 3D as well. It doesn't look nearly as bad as the contour lines. It's saying like, yeah, does this have a little bit of slope? Yeah, it's not denying that. Yeah, but that being said, it's saying like that's still buildable. So that's all. So then, I mean, it's a solid piece of land.
And you can MLS details if it's been listed or is listed, you can find the details there. The owner's information is there. Right. Oh, but zoom out a little bit because you can see with the blue where the
I wanted to show that because I thought we would get some, and all these blue are clickable. I got to zoom in a little bit. All these blue are clickable where it's going to give you information like on. So if you're in the property, it's going to give you information. It should give you information on like what type of wetlands it is. Let's see if this works over here. Yeah, there you go. So it's saying this is a riverine, and this is all from like national data in terms of what it's telling us. But let's go back to our subject property. You can see all the difference between floodplain. Let's take off wetlands. Floodplain versus wetlands versus water features. Pretty dry area though, like you said before. Not in Florida, this is way more powerful, obviously.
All right, cool. So then talk about the... You give an estimated price and an estimated price per acre. And I always tell all of your comping services, you always have to verify these, sure. Right? You have to verify it. Look it up yourself on Zillow and Redfin. See what similar properties are selling for in the area. But you give some comps there, which is pretty cool. These are comps that have sold recently. They're in the area, similar size, and that's how you're basically showing how you came up with those prices.
Yeah, right for there. Sure. So that's actually that's giving us a comp that's nearby, and you can search these very fast as far as being able to search these other properties, or you pull up the comp report and all those are clickable from there. But if you search the property, like we can see how far away this is. It's probably easier just to look at the comp report, but you'll see how all these are searchable in terms of this. Like, okay, that just took us 2 feet, like not far. Our other property was right here somewhere. But these are very close comps. And this one just sold, like you can look at the MLS details here, just sold for $106,000 in April. Mm-hmm. So very powerful in terms of this comp. Like this is not a far distance at all from these properties. Our property's right here, for example, and this is right here. Okay. Like you can look and probably talking about less than a mile, I'd guess, right? It's right there, right here. Yeah, 2 miles away. But
so that's interesting. What you just did there is a measuring tool, and you clicked on one thing, clicked on another thing, and it tells you how far away it is.
Absolutely. Did you want me to pull up the comp report for this one?
Yeah.
All right, let's pull up the comp report real fast. I'll right click on here, open this in a new tab. Now open the slope report as well, since we haven't looked through one of those. And again, the contour lines on this one, it's a good example because contour lines are a little deceiving for how flat the property actually is. So comp report here first. Again, it's looking for nearby comps. And we talked about that one property. This is the one that was 2 miles away that we just measured, $106,000. You can see when it's sold. You can see the price per acre. And then, based on that comp right there, Joe, this is probably, I would guess this is within 5 to 7%.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal isn't to be right 100% of the time on these. I don't think it's a realistic thing, but I want to be within about 10%, about 90 to 93% of the time.
Yeah.
Slope report here. These overviews I used to do, Joe, like when the software was newer, everything like that, like it didn't take that long. And now, like as we add services, stuff like that, these overviews take a much longer to show you.
Well, yeah, look at this data that you're pulling together. Like
This is yeah, so elevation here. So the faster it changes colors, the more sloped it's going to be essentially. And then here we have like, okay, like we were talking about percentage and stuff. Like it sees a lot of this area as green, which is 5 to 10. It is green, 5 to 10% or less than that. And that's why that's why we talked about that, how it's such a big cluster on here in terms of buildable areas. This is a really flat piece of land, which you wouldn't think initially, like we said, with the contour lines.
Yeah, with those
if I was looking at this property 2 years ago, I'd be like, this is a little scary. Like we might have some buildable area up here, but this doesn't look buildable.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. The soil type, does that work, or is that
yes, it does.
On the
yeah, soil type. I'll pull that up here. Again, this is all like this is all federal data that we get. You can click on all these and kind of see what's going on. It can help like predict septic test, stuff like that. I'm not going to use it as that, but you can see like we have a well-drained area, everything like that. It definitely does help. I've been using this a lot more actually recently, and usually the different colors are going to align with kind of the slope as well. It's a rockier area. It's sloping up a hill.
Interesting. I have never used soil types reports. I've never trusted them, I guess.
No, it's definitely not a full like line of defense, but I use it in terms of a tool. And that's what a lot of these are, like a tool. It's a part of your tool belt.
Yeah. This is so cool, guys. And I want you to know that even if you were using FreedomSoft, you can still use this to get your lists, and then you export it out of Land Portal. You can import it into FreedomSoft. And you can do your mail from FreedomSoft if you want, or send it to Rocket Print, and they can do your mail for you. Quick question here, Ron. One of the things that I like to do, and you can stop your screen share if you want. I think are we good?
Yeah, we're good on that. Yeah, that was a full service thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. I wanted to go through that fast because I want you guys just to see this high level. But one of the things I like to do is when I export a list, I want every record to have a reference ID on there, because when I'm telling them on the letter, it says, hey, text or caller 24-hour recorded voicemail, and the voicemail says, hey, thanks for calling, what's the reference number on that postcard? So what are some things that you've done with, like, how do you do the reference IDs that you put on your letters and things like that?
Do you want me to show you real fast? I can do this on the Excel. I can do this on Excel really fast here, if that's okay.
Yeah, show us how you do that.
Yeah, that one that we had up. So what I would do on here, like we know it's Monroe County, and I'll do this real fast. And we'll just type in reference ID. And we heard you as far as like, that's something we do want to put in on them. But what we're going to do here, what I typically do is like the first two letters, or you could do MR, probably not MR, like ME for Monroe or MO for Monroe. I'm not a huge fan of O just because zeros get confused. That's why I'm want to go against O, like MN. Let's do MN TN -1. Then all I'm going to do is copy MN TN -2. And then I'm going to just highlight these two. I'm going to double click the bottom right. And now every single one of my properties has a unique reference number in here. And this is lowest acreage or highest. And that's what we'll just import onto our letters. And that's what we've always done historically. But I do see why like having that on your export automatically would be helpful.
But that's good. It's easy to do. You just did it in 2 seconds. Right? You insert a new column, right? And then you give it your reference ID and you copy it all the way down. So it's easy to do. You guys can do it. But it's important that before you import, I just want to emphasize this, before you import that list into your CRM, you need to assign a reference ID in there. And in my course too, I have tutorial videos on how to import it into FreedomSoft. Make sure you're mapping all the fields correctly, because that's important. Ron, you guys are doing good work, man. You guys are doing some amazing things over there at the Land Portal. I'm proud to promote it. I use it every single day. I'm telling my people to get all the time to get it. Now, talk a little bit about how the pricing works.
Yeah. So we have some pricing, and Joe we can put that that code in there so you can get some free records and everything like that. But yeah, pricing starts at $59 with the free trial. You're not going to have all the features there. And one thing we've done with adding new features, the most popular is the $99. And then exports cost some money. You saw for that export right there, it costs $15 for me to export, because we got that list so small. Then we have some higher level plans that are including 20, 25,000 plus records. records per month for some people that are doing a ton of volume. So that's really how it works.
And I use this more for research than I do actually for pulling my lists. So it's that monthly thing is not a big deal. It's the cost of doing business, and it obviously it's not free. It does cost something, but it's well worth the investment. And when you look at the amount of money it will save you in direct mail, in pulling your lists, it's going to be worth it. Cool. Thank you so much, Ron. Again, guys, go to getlandportal.com if you're interested. If you're watching this on one of my websites, down below in the description or something like that will be the links. Getlandportal.com. It'll make your land investing business a lot easier. It'll save you a ton of money. It'll save you a lot of dead, dumb, stupid calls from people that have property that you don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. It'll save you so much time and money. And it's just awesome. I love it. Ron, have a good one, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
We'll see you guys.